Good morning, students. I hope all of you are well, safe, and healthy. Let's begin today's lesson. And I think in our last class we have learned about Trials West, and we are doing chapter 13 here, Manifest Destiny. So today we are going to begin the second lesson, that is expansion and taxes. And you will find this lesson on page 426. So let's move. Expansion and taxes. In this lesson, basically you will learn about the conflict between the United States and Mexico over taxes. And before we start studying this lesson, a few important terms and people we will learn here. Land grant. The first term is the land grant. What is land grant? It is a gift of public land to an individual or an organization. Then an important name like Stephen F. Austin. Who was Stephen? He was a leader of American colony in Texas. And then we have another name, important name, that is Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. He was a Mexican president who fought Texans in the Texas Revolution. So what was Texan Revolution? Texas War for Independence from Mexico. Texas Revolution was a war for independence from Mexico. Then we have Republic of Texas. Republic of Texas is an independent nation that was created after Texans defeated Mexico in the Texas Revolution. So it became an independent nation. And then there's a word annex, which means to make part of or incorporate. Next we will learn about the Americans settled in the Southwest. For example, like you should know, why did Mexico encourage American farmers to settle in Texas? So in this we will learn the reasons that why Mexico encouraged Americans. So here, after Mexico won its independence from Spain in 1821, the Spanish mission system declined. The Native Americans, who had always been in close contact with Mexicans, they found themselves being forced to work as unpaid laborers. So this was the reason. Upset by this, some Native Americans attacked Mexican settlements in Texas and stole cattle from American and Mexican settlers because they were not paid. They were forced to work as unpaid, so they started stealing cattle from American and Mexican settlers. In the year after independence, Mexico sought to improve its economy. As a result, Mexico loosened its trade restrictions between its northern provinces and the United States. So in order to improve its economy, Mexico loosened its trade restrictions between the northern province and the United States. Beside these things, Mexico also wanted to protect its territory from Native American attacks. For this reason, and to help its economy, Mexico encouraged American farmers to settle in Texas. So this was the main reason that why Mexico encouraged Americans to help its economy and to protect its territory. These were the two main reasons. So in early 1820s, Mexico offered huge land grants to American settlers, and under these land grants, Americans bought land in Mexico for a low price. Americans bought land in Mexico for a low price. In exchange, they promised to obey Mexican laws and practice Roman culture. So this was the terms and condition. Like if they bought it in low price, so in return what they promised that they will follow the Mexican laws and they will practice their religion. So many Americans rushed at the chance. American settlers in Texas were called Anglos. So who were Anglos? They were the American settlers in Texas. They soon outnumbered the Tejans or Spanish-speaking Texans. What is Tejon? Here you see they soon outnumbered the Tejans. Tejans are those people who are Spanish-speaking Texans who are living in Texas, but they were speaking Spanish language. So Tejans. The Americans in Texas eventually established a colony, and Stephen F. Austin was the leader of that colony. And the number of Anglos in Texas steadily grew, and their colony thrived. So this is how the colony, it prospers with passage of time, and as a result, many people, because the colony, it flourished, so many people in the United States considered taking Texas part of their country. And it flourished so much that even the President John Quincy Adams had offered to buy Texas for $1 million. He offered $1 million for the Texas. and President Andrew Jackson later offered 5 million. But Mexico refused to sell taxes. But soon the Mexicans also began to have second thought about inviting in so many Americans. So they had another thought. Next we are going to learn about Texas fights for independence. So here we will learn why they fought for independence. Tension soon erupted between Texas Anglos population and Mexico. What were the reasons for this tension? First, the Anglo settlers spoke English instead of Spanish. This was the first reason. Second, they tended to be Protestant rather than Catholic. This was the second reason. And third, many settlers were Southrons who had brought their slaves with them, whereas Mexico had outlawed slavery in 1824. So in 1830, Mexico banned more American settlers from coming to Texas. And in 1834, Stephen Austin convinced Mexican leaders to drop the ban. Many Americans entered Texas again. As the Anglo population grew, Austin went to Mexico City to visit the Mexican president, Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. He was the president of Mexico. So Austin asked Santa Anna for greater self-government for Texas. But Santa Anna jailed Austin in return. So Austin eventually was freed later on, but he returned to Texas and called for Texans to arm themselves. So soon afterwards, Santa Anna led an army to San Antonio to force the Texans to obey Mexican law. And what was the result? That war broke out between the two sides in 1835. And this war became known as the Texas Revolution. So now you have understood what was Texan Revolution. Okay. The last thing, like always, we have the activity for today. What you have to do, you have to read this lesson again in great detail from your books, and then answer a few questions I made, like why did Mexico encourage American settlement in Texas? Why were some Northern opposed to Texas joining the United States? Why did Mexico want Americans to settle in Texas? Why was the United States at first reluctant to annex Texas? And what brought American settlers in conflict with the Mexican government? So what you have to do, you have to read in detail, memorize the main things, and try to answer all these questions. And with, in addition, at the end of your chapter, you will find assessment. So a few questions try to attempt from that side always, also. So, and meantime, take good care of yourself, and I will see you again with the next lesson, inshallah. Take care. Bye bye.